7 miraculous signs revealed that the divine is manifesting doors to your sacred destiny. In the charming village of Everwood, the air was thick with whispers of the divine. On the first Sunday of December, faithful villagers gathered under the old chapel's arch, eyes sparkling with anticipation. Rumors swirled like autumn leaves, proclaiming miraculous healings and signs of God's grace, stories that made the heart race and left everyone craving more. The warmth of faith wrapped around them, enlivening hope amid despair. Margaret, a woman devoted to her beliefs, leaned her ear toward the vibrant conversations buzzing around her. She had witnessed the impossible: a child with a broken leg restored to health with just the touch of prayer. Eyes gleaming with wonder, her heart fluttered as she remembered what her grandmother used to say, "Where two or more gather, miracles sprout like wildflowers." It was moments like this that ignited the fire of faith within her, urging her to seek divine intervention in her own life, especially when financial worry loomed at home. As the chapel bells tolled, Margaret's spirit surged. Every prayer she uttered was steeped in possibility. Yet, doubt crept in like fog. She faced an avalanche of bills with no relief in sight, and the weight of her family's anxieties pressed hard against her soul. "Courage, my heart," she whispered to herself, recalling the stories of unfathomable blessings shared during the prayer group. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Stepping out of her comfort zone, Margaret decided to unite her community, calling on villagers for a collective prayer. She believed in the ancient truth that miracles were birthed from unwavering persistence and shared faith. Together, they fervently prayed, hands clasped and hearts open, lighting candles that flickered like stars against the dim chapel walls. The air crackled with electric hope. When the first prophetic message arrived, a voice in the quiet, guiding her down a path she had yet to consider. Margaret's heart raced. "Your calling lies beyond what you see," the voice assured her, echoing in the sanctuary of her spirit. Eager yet scared, she shared the revelation with her family, only to be met with hesitation. "We can't risk what little we have left," they exclaimed, voices shaky with worry. Days passed, and just as doubt threatened to choke her dreams, she encountered a disheveled stranger, lost and forlorn. Their brief exchange stirred something profound in her, a wisdom that opened doors she had never imagined existed. Opportunities faced her, lit by divine providence. As her journey unfolded, whispers of miracles intensified in the village, igniting a palpable sense of expectancy. The inevitable climax approached. An elder, beloved by all, healed during a prayer gathering that seemed touched by an unseen hand. Margaret watched, breathless, as faith ignited a revival, forcing even the doubters to peer beyond their skepticism. But just as hope soared to its peak, an urgent, cryptic message, a challenge from St. Jude himself, unfurled in her heart. Would she muster the courage to accept the unknown path laid before her? The village held their breath, teetering on the brink of an extraordinary transformation, waiting for Margaret's next move. What awaited them on the other side? The air buzzed with imminent possibility, the divine mystery just beginning to unravel. The village simmered with anticipation, the air thick with the scent of possibility. In those fleeting moments, Margaret stood before her friends, trembling yet resolute. She could feel the weight of their hopes resting on her shoulders. Each gaze was a silent plea, begging her to lead them into the uncharted territories of faith. "What if we stepped into the unknown together?" she proposed, her voice a soft ember in the quiet tension of the chapel. The villagers murmured among themselves, familiarity battling with the call of adventure. It was then that her heart swelled with the fervor of the spirit, emboldening her to press forward. "St. Jude has given us a message, friends," she continued, her hands trembling with excitement. "He points us toward a path we've never walked. It is a journey that may frighten us, but it leads to abundance we cannot yet fathom. The spark of enthusiasm flickered in the eyes around her. Suddenly, Grandma Agnes, her face lined with years of wisdom, stood up, her voice steady and fierce. My heart tells me there is power in community, and when we unite, we are formidable. An approving murmur spread through the gathering. Others began to rise, emboldened by Agnes's spirited conviction. They rallied behind Margaret, hearts ignited with a shared vision that felt more vast than any mere task. They would not just pray for miracles, they would actively seek out the divine intercession, turning sacred intentions into tangible acts of faith. The next Sunday unfolded like an unpredicted dawn. The villagers filled the chapel to the brim, their hopes radiating from every soul. This gathering was different, transformed by a newfound urgency. Margaret envisioned a circle, a symbol of their unity, each candle representing an intention, a prayer for themselves and one another. They sang hymns that soared to the rafters, voices blending into a rich tapestry of praise. With each note, their burdens seemed to lighten, unveiling a deeper joy that resonated within. As they prayed, Margaret felt something shift. She could almost see the tendrils of divine grace weaving through the room, knitting their prayers into something tangible. But then, silence fell like a gentle blanket, weaving through the fervent atmosphere. The stillness was heavy, laden with presence. It was then she felt it, a warm surge of energy that coursed through her veins. Margaret closed her eyes, surrendering to the divine current. "Step forward if you feel called," she whispered, her breath mingling with faith, urging others to do the same. One by one, villagers approached the altar, each carrying their fears and dreams, laying them humbly before God. Margaret watched, marveling at the beauty of this moment, her heart burning with anticipation. Would they witness the miraculous? Could this collective faith unlock the doors they sought? It was a divine pact, one that could reshape their lives forever. As she looked around, she sensed more than just hope. It was faith in collaboration, a love that sparked brighter with every flickering candle. And then, from the corner of her eye, a movement caught her attention. It was a child, her face aglow with curiosity, pulling at the hem of Margaret's skirt. "Lady!" the child exclaimed, her voice innocent yet powerful. "Will we really find the treasure?" In that moment, everything quieted again. The child held the future in her hands, a vivid reminder that faith is not only about the destination, but the journey of belief itself. Margaret knelt down to the little one, her heart swirling with a mixture of joy and uncertainty. "Yes," she whispered, eyes sparkling with the divine promise. "We will find our treasure if we dare to step beyond what we know." As the villagers joined her in prayer once more, Margaret felt the weight of time shift. Their destiny loomed ahead of them, and she couldn't shake the feeling that something monumental was about to unfold. With bated breath, Everwood awaited the next chapter in their journey. What miracles would arise from their brave leap of faith? And in that sacred stillness, the promise of the extraordinary lingered tantalizingly close, waiting to be discovered. As the last echoes of the final hymn faded into the wood-paneled walls of the chapel, a hush embraced the congregation. It felt as if time had paused, holding its breath in reverence to the sincerity that rested within them. The flickering candles cast warm shadows, illuminating faces where hope and trepidation danced together. Margaret remained kneeling before the child, her heart echoing the purity of that innocent question. "Will we really find the treasure?" The child's wide eyes sparkled with anticipation. Steeling herself, Margaret rose up, nourishing that flicker of faith within herself and into the gathering. "Everyone," she called softly, her voice a gentle breeze amidst the stillness. "The journey ahead is filled with promise, but first, we must believe we are meant for more than we know." She beamed at their eager expressions, ready to embrace the unknown. The words hung in the air, resonating deep within each of them. A soft rustle arose as several villagers sat back on their benches, their hearts stirring into a more profound understanding. Belief was the key, and together, they held the potential to unlock something extraordinary. "Let us prepare to walk together," she proposed. These are not mere words, they are our declarations, our hopes shouted into the heavens. With each statement, Margaret envisioned them like arrows, piercing the veil of doubt that lay before them. Then, as if answering their unvoiced doubts, a sound swelled from the back of the chapel. It began softly, a distant thrum, perhaps a gentle reminder from the divine. It grew louder as the villagers turned to search for its source. Was it the wind? A stirring in the atmosphere? Agnes, her eyes gleaming with wisdom, smiled knowingly. It feels like the very earth beneath us is responding. God is reminding us that miracles are birthed when we least expect them. Her words ignited a rumble of murmurs, a flicker of excitement waking from deep within. Margaret felt that warmth from earlier swell once more, a divine current coursing through her veins, as if the chapel itself was alive, breathing alongside them. "Let us close our eyes again and listen," she encouraged. As stillness reigned, they surrendered to the moment, allowing the thrum, the sacred reverberation, to fill their hearts. In that silence, thoughts connected like threads of light weaving through an unseen fabric. Margaret sensed the heaviness gently shift as peace whispered through their fears. Then came a voice, a melodious and ethereal sound that reverberated within their souls, awakening forgotten yearnings. "You are chosen." It rang softly, yet it roared with celestial clarity. It was not just a message to Margaret alone, it was for every heart present. A collective gasp fluttered through the crowd. Eyes opened wide, some glistening with tears, others filled with awe. The invisible thread of unison pulled tightly among them, grounding their hearts firmly to the ground, yet simultaneously opening them to the expanse of the universe. "What we seek is closer than we think," Margaret breathed out, her heart racing. The words flowed effortlessly, inspired by an unseen fountain of grace. "If we choose to take the next step, our faith will carve pathways, doors will swing open where once there were walls. If we hold each other in this faith, mountains might crumble and valleys will rise," Agnes added, emphasizing the shift in their spirits, holding on to the transformative promise of togetherness. With warm hands enveloping each other, they formed a circle, the energy of hope merging within them. Margaret raised her voice again, a hopeful beacon. "Friends, what if our treasure is not a destination, but the very journey itself? What if the miracle is already at work among us, unfolding with each step we take?" The air tingled, pregnant with sacred anticipation, as unseen currents began gathering strength. Could they truly change their fate together? In the coming days, would they witness the miraculous forging of their collective faith into something tangible? Before the candlelight dimmed two cast shadows, Margaret sensed that they stood on the brink of a profound revelation. And just as it felt they were about to catch a glimpse of their treasure, darkness danced around the edges of light. Could it be that what is required now is not just belief, but action? She wondered aloud, feeling the winds of faith swirl around them. What if we have to step out into a world beyond our comfort? Each word laid a challenge, pregnant with the weight of anticipation. Still, the path ahead felt uncertain, layered with an alluring mystery. "Will we take that leap?" she asked, heart racing, gradually building toward their sacred destiny. In that electric silence, a new question lingered, drawing them deeper into their collective faith. What was waiting for them on the other side of their willingness to believe? As the candlelight flickered and shadows danced playfully on the chapel walls, an air of quiet determination settled over the congregation. Each heart pulsated with newfound purpose, amplified by the echoes of Margaret's challenge. They stood at the threshold, like travelers gazing at a horizon, unsure yet brave enough to march forward. Margaret, feeling the weight of their collective gaze, summoned the courage to continue. "Friends, our faith is not just the gentle flicker of a candle, it is a roaring fire. It fuels our hope and ignites our actions. But action requires both trust and courage." Her enthusiasm pulsed through the room, infused with the electric energy that surged from their unity. As they held hands, a warm glow enveloped them, drawing in the light and pushing out the shadows that threatened to close in. The sound of their breaths harmonized, creating a melody of faith resonating deep within their souls. Could it be that they were not just individuals gathered in one place, but a single entity, bound by trust and a yearning for transformation. Agnes, ever the wise voice, leaned forward, her voice a soft whisper, yet it danced through the air like the sound of a gentle brook. Sometimes, the greatest treasures are hidden in the steps we take when we let go of certainty. Let us dare to dream of a life infused with purpose. Are we ready to step boldly, clutching our faith as our compass? The congregation nodded, resolute expressions washing over their faces. Whispers of agreement fluttered through the room, woven with the strength of their shared aspirations. Margaret felt the moment swell with possibility. It may feel like a leap into the unknown, but within every heart lies a flame, waiting to illuminate the darkness before us. Let us light that flame together. We have questions, yes, but what if they are the very keys leading us to unprecedented revelations? The choir of voices rose once more, hearts synced as one. What is waiting on the other side? Became their collective whisper, weaving hope into an ethereal tapestry that floated heavenward. A hush fell over them as they listened, tuning their spirits to the unspoken divine dialogues. Margaret's eyes fluttered closed, inviting calm within, and as the silence enveloped them, she felt a deep stirring. Visions of vibrant landscapes unfolded in her mind, a world rich with blessings just beyond the veil of their current fears. Imagine, she proclaimed, towns transformed by love, homes filled with laughter and grace, lives uplifted by compassion. What if our treasure was meant to be shared, not hoarded? As she spoke, her heart surged with a mixture of longing and excitement. A small voice broke through the contemplative air, soft yet sure. It came from the child, a reminder of such pure and simple trust. But how do we find it, Margaret? How do we take the first step? A gentle smile spread across her face as she knelt down to meet the child's gaze. Every step begins with love, dear one. When we show kindness to our neighbors, when we lift each other up, we unlock the doors to wonders we have yet to see. Every little action counts. They are threads that weave a grand masterpiece. The child's wide eyes sparkled with understanding. Around the chapel, murmurs of admiration began to swell, a wave of encouragement rippling through the community. Each whispered hope stirred something deep, awakening spirits and kindling fires of passion. Margaret sensed the moment's gravity. They were steadily building momentum, and she knew they had crossed an invisible threshold. However, a question lingered like a whisper in the breeze. As excitement mixed with uncertainty within her, she felt the anticipation swell. Could they brave the path ahead, or would doubt anchor them to their present? Margaret raised her hands, inviting silence back into the sacred space. Let us take a moment to truly listen. A stillness fell, and in that sacred pause, they felt a stirring, a gentle invitation pressing toward profound change. What awaited them when they finally answered that beckoning call? The fire of faith flickered anew, casting a radiant light into the unknown. A magnetic pull drew them closer to the answers they were destined to uncover together. But what would those revelations be? As the whispers of uncertainty faded into the stillness, a profound presence seemed to blanket the chapel. The air thickened with what felt like angels inching closer, as if wrapped in the tender embrace of divine anticipation. Margaret, unable to ignore the magnetic energy in the room, felt her heartbeat sync with the collective rhythm of those gathered. Can you sense it? She breathed, her voice steady yet reverberating with excitement. The moment is at hand. The call to step forward resonates deeply. This gathering is not merely a happening, it is a divine orchestration. Around her, heads nodded with an urgency born from longing. Something in each person's spirit knew they were connected to a greater plan, sketched far beyond what they could see. Each prayer, each voice, echoed like wide ripples on a still pond, creating waves of spirit that stirred the depths of their souls. Now, Agnes added softly, her voice soothing yet imbued with strength, we must not only yearn for change, we must be the change. So, together, let us release our fears and bravely take the first steps. She raised her arms like a shepherd guiding a flock, eliciting a surge of courage. As they breathed in deep, the air transformed, fragrant and vibrant, a sacred moment suspended in time. Margaret remembered the words from her childhood, the stories of faith heroes who took leaps into the unknown on the wings of trust. Her heart warmed, knowing that even the smallest steps taken in love could lead to miraculous transformations. "Let us sing," she declared, her voice rising, leading them into the chorus of devotion. Their voices intertwined like strands of gold, each note shimmering with hope, each chord igniting passion. The melodies lifted the congregation higher, a song of surrender woven with intention. Then, suddenly, a quiet hush fell upon them, spiritual anticipation hanging heavy in the air. Margaret felt a shift, a flicker within her spirit, a recognition that the divine threshold was fading. She paused, her heart pounding, as a thought crossed her mind. What if our answers lie in reaching out and serving those around us? A murmur of agreement washed through the group like a wave crashing upon the shore. Then a flicker of light emerged from the altar, dancing outwards like sunbeams breaking through a dark cloud. The raw energy was palpable. Even the shadows in the chapel felt compelled to recede. Margaret turned to look at those around her, the congregation radiating warmth and light. "Imagine each act of love we undertake as a flame ignited, a beacon calling others home to faith." She felt every heart align, each one a spark catching fire to the wonder unfolding. "Might we be the light that pierces through the fog?" Agnes pondered, her eyes glistening. "We could transform fear into hope, sorrow into joy. What if together we became miracles in action?" The collective gaze shifted towards the chapel doors, and Margaret could almost see the world beyond, filled with hearts hungry for love. "Let us step into the unknown," she urged, her voice swelling with conviction. "For on the other side awaits our next revelation." Are we prepared to be vessels of these divine miracles? What breakthrough was just around the corner? What unforeseen blessings might come as they continued in unified purpose? The echoes of their faith clung to the fabric of the very place they stood, each heart poised for the miraculous. With anticipation sparked anew, they were woven into this unfolding tapestry, ready for the divine to unveil more than they could imagine. Would they honestly be ready for the revelation that awaited them just beyond their comfort zones? The air was electric, charged with purpose. Each heartbeat felt like a drum, resonating with the collective resolve of the congregation. They stood together at the threshold of something truly remarkable, as if the very heavens were watching and waiting for their next step. Margaret felt her spirit surge within her, a wellspring of joy bubbling to the surface. She shared a glance with Agnes, who nodded in understanding. "Let us open our hearts wide," Agnes urged, her voice a gentle flow amidst the still air. "We're on the cusp of transformation." A hush enveloped the room once more, anticipation hanging like mist in the air. Margaret stepped forward, her feet grounding her, yet her soul felt as if it were about to take flight. "Let us not just imagine a beacon, let us become that light. Each of us a flame in the dark, shining brightly, illuminating paths for ourselves and others." As the words spilled forth from her lips, a deep sense of connection surged throughout the group. There was a murmur of agreement, recalling shared moments of doubt transformed into purpose, each heart an echo of the stories lived. "What if," she continued, "this is where miracles begin? Right here in this sacred space?" The atmosphere grew thick with possibility as Agnes turned to the group, her eyes sparkling with emotion. "Miracles often arise from the unlikeliest places," she said. "We might feel small, but together we're a force of divine nature. Can we trust that our intentions will unfold into beautiful acts of love?" With that, they began to share their stories, echoes of pain and joy intertwined, fragments of doubt met with sparks of hope. Each tale shared was like a gentle rain nourishing the ground for new life. Margaret listened in awe as others spoke of times they stepped out in faith, of instances when their small acts turned into something unexpected and beautiful. As they gathered around the altar, thoughts of their community filled the room like a sweet fragrance. "Let us pray for the hearts outside these walls," Margaret suggested, her voice steady yet softening with tenderness. "Many are waiting for someone to reach out. Let our hearts be vessels of hope and healing." A soulful silence enveloped them, marking the weight of their intentions. Each person bowed their head, closing their eyes, pouring their hearts into restorative prayers. Margaret felt the warmth wrap around her, enveloping each one of them, filling the air with divine promise. Tears slipped silently down cheeks as spirits were ignited. Suddenly, a flicker of light broke through the solemn moment. A shimmering presence washed over them, igniting the chapel with warmth. Faces glowed, joy seeped into their bones. The sensation was palpable, a divine affirmation that they were headed in the right direction. Margaret gasped, feeling the swirling presence sweep over like a gentle breeze. "Do you feel him?" she breathed, excitement bubbling in her chest. "He is with us, urging us forward." "What does that mean for you? What does he want you to do?" All eyes glistened with newfound clarity. Quiet conversations broke out amongst them, everyone reflecting on their callings, on the prompts they felt deep within. The chapel felt alive, electric as hearts met purpose. "Step out, beloveds. Step out in faith." Agnes encouraged, her voice carrying spirit and certainty, but as they prepared to leave the haven of their gathering, a question loomed large. What would happen when they stepped outside? What challenges awaited them? Were they ready to embrace the unknown fears and joys that lay ahead? Darkness was ever present, but so was the promise of light. Were they prepared to let their newfound light shine brightly in the world beyond these four walls? The doors beckoned, their next revelation whispering on the wind. Stepping outside felt different. The air was cooler, and the world beyond seemed both daunting and enticing. Margaret took a deep breath, feeling the power of the moment ripple through her. She looked at her friends, each face illuminated with determination and a hint of trepidation. Agnes led the way, her footsteps confident, yet she paused at the threshold. "This is where we discover our strength," she said, her voice steady. "Trust in what we felt today. Trust in the light that surrounds us." With those words, they crossed out of the chapel and into the warmth of the fading sunlight. The streets were alive with the hum of daily life, a stark contrast to the serene peace they had just left behind. Margaret felt her heart race. How would they share this newfound divine light? They wandered down the lane, the chatter of their voices blending with the sounds of the bustling community. Each step seemed to echo with purpose. "What if we started with those we passed by?" Margaret suggested, the idea floating from her heart to her lips. A smile, a hello, small gestures, but they could mean so much. "I love that." Agnes beamed. "It's in the little things that miracles start." As they walked, Margaret noticed a young woman sitting alone on a bench, her gaze fixed on the ground. Sadness radiated from her, a palpable shadow over her spirit. Instinctively, Margaret felt drawn to her. "Let us go and see if she needs something," she urged her friends. Approaching slowly, Margaret felt her palms sweat and her heart pound. This was a moment of truth, a chance to practice what they preached. "Hi there," she said softly, kneeling down so she could meet the woman's eyes. "Are you okay?" The woman looked up, startled. I'm fine," she whispered, though her tears told a different story. "No one is ever fine alone," Agnes interjected gently. "We're here if you need someone to talk to." The young woman hesitated, her walls wavering. "I lost my job," she finally confessed, her voice trembling. "I feel so lost. I don't know what I'm supposed to do." Margaret felt a surge of empathy. "You're not alone in this. We've faced our own battles, and we're here to remind you that hope is real," she said, feeling the warmth of their shared faith pour into the conversation. "Would you let us pray for you?" Agnes asked gently. "Sometimes, a little prayer makes all the difference." The woman's eyes widened, tears spilling over. Yes, I think I do like that." As they joined hands, Margaret closed her eyes, allowing the words of encouragement to flow through her. Each prayer lifted into the universe, forming a web of light connecting their hearts. She felt the weight of despair lift slightly, replaced by a glimmer of hope. When they finished, the young woman dried her tears. "Thank you, I really needed that. I didn't think anyone cared." Margaret smiled as a warmth spread through her. "We care. You matter more than you know." The simple exchange stretched into deeper conversations, revealing a cascade of dreams and fears, hopes and visions. Such moments began to weave their narratives into a tapestry of shared faith. Standing back, Margaret looked around at her friends. The mark of divine love lingered in the air. Each interaction felt like a small miracle unfolding before their eyes. But the more they shared, the more Margaret realized a truth bubbling beneath. There was a deeper call stirring within her heart. What if this is just the beginning? She mused aloud, her thoughts spilling over. What if our journey leads us to something more significant? Agnes nodded, a knowing smile dancing in her eyes. That's exactly it. We're just scratching the surface. As they continued their walk, a sense of wonder gripped Margaret. If this encounter was a hint of what was to come, what opportunities awaited them in the days ahead? And just as that thought sparked light in her spirit, a sudden wind rustled through, carrying a whisper from the trees. What revelations lay beyond their next steps? How would their collective faith reshape the world around them? As they ventured forth, the path before them revealed itself not just as a road, but a canvas for their hearts to paint. The fading sunlight danced in golden hues, blessing each leaf and flower, echoing the divine potential within each soul they encountered. Margaret felt the air thrum with possibility, a vibrant heartbeat in the growing dusk. We should not merely walk, we should let our light shine, Agnes said, glancing up at the sky, as if the heavens themselves beckoned their purpose. Margaret felt invigorated by the thought. Right? We have to be so intentional about it. Every step we take can lead someone closer to hope. As they pressed on, their energy pulsed with eagerness, eyes widening at the sights and souls around them. Turning a corner, they stumbled upon a small park bathed in the last rays of twilight. A group of children played, their laughter weaving through the air like music. There was an elderly man sitting alone on a bench, watching them. His expression was one of loneliness rather than joy, a deep furrow resting between his brows. What about him? Margaret gestured, her heart tightening with compassion. He looks like he could use some company. As they approached, Margaret noticed the man's hands clasping a small, faded photograph. Carefully, she knelt beside him. "Hello, sir," she said gently. "What's on your mind?" He looked up surprised. The joy once radiating from his eyes seemed dimmed. "Just remembering, that's all," he replied, his voice thick with nostalgia. Agnes smiled warmly. "Remembrance is a beautiful gift. Is that someone special to you?" The old man sighed, and for a moment, the world around them faded as he revealed tales of his late wife's stories of laughter shared, dreams fulfilled and heartaches endured. The children's play faded into background noise while Agnes and Margaret listened intently, enveloped in his memories. "I never thought I would be here alone," the man whispered, his voice quavering. "Each day stretches long, and I find myself yearning for just one more moment." In that sacred silence, Margaret felt a divine pull. Would it comfort you to pray together? It was as if a whisper of the Spirit urged her to offer the gift of connection. The elderly man hesitated but then nodded, gratitude softening his features. As they joined hands around him, Margaret felt the warmth extend beyond mere words. Their hearts were interwoven, creating a tapestry of shared love and memory. With each prayer, they conjured not just hope but a sense of belonging. The wind ebbed and flowed, brushing against their skin, as if the universe itself breathed along with them. When they opened their eyes, the old man's tears glistened with newfound clarity. "Thank you," he murmured, a smile slowly breaking through. "I didn't know how much I needed this." Margaret felt light, as though a glow radiated from her very core. "You're never alone, you see. We carry each other through every season of life." Just then, a child from the nearby group ran up, a colorful drawing clutched tightly in her hand. "Look, I made this for you," she exclaimed, eyes sparkling. The energy of innocence and joy enveloped them. The man's face broke into a wide grin, and laughter filled the air as he accepted the child's gift. Margaret's heart danced with joy. It's a golden reminder of connection, we're all part of each other's stories. As they turned to leave, Margaret knew that the evening had a deeper purpose. What if each encounter is a door opening to a greater understanding of faith? She pondered aloud, her spirit buoyed by the heartwarming interactions. Agnes chuckled. "It's like we are walking through a gallery of grace. What wonders will we uncover next? And so, with hearts full of warmth and wonder, they continued down the lane, feeling seeds of divine revelation sprout within them. How far could this journey take them? What doors awaited, yet unseen? Those questions hung in the air, heavy with anticipation, marking the thrilling path ahead. As they meandered further into the dusky embrace of the park, a hushed stillness settled gently around them. The laughter of the children faded to distant echoes, replaced by the soft rustling of leaves whispering secrets of the evening. Margaret and Agnes took a moment to absorb the palpable warmth of the gathering twilight, allowing the beauty of the world to seep into their souls like a soothing balm. What if we encounter another soul who needs us tonight? Agnes mused, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. What if each step is guided by something much greater? Margaret found herself lost in thought. The gentle caress of the breeze reminded her of God's ever-present hand. I wonder how many hearts we can touch, she whispered, almost to herself. Just then, a flicker of light caught their attention, flickering in the distance like a wandering star. They exchanged glances, intrigued, and quietly walked toward the glow, feeling drawn to it like moths to a flame. As they approached, they discovered a small gathering of people encircled around a fire. The warmth emanating from the flames illuminated their faces, each one holding a story, a burden, a spark of longing. In the center stood a woman, her voice flowing like a gentle stream, sharing tales of hope and healing, the kind that pulls at the heartstrings and ignites faith. Tonight, we gather not just to share our stories, she proclaimed, but to demonstrate that, even in darkness, light prevails. We have suffered, but we have also risen. Margaret felt a deep stirring in her heart. She turned to Agnes and whispered, "Should we join them? Our light can add to theirs." Agnes nodded, eyes gleaming with excitement. They stepped forward, instantly welcomed by the warmth of community and kindness. The woman noticed their presence, her expression shifting to one of recognition. "Ah, new friends. We are here to remind one another of the miracles that surround us every day," she said with a broad smile. With gentle nudges from the crowd, Margaret felt emboldened to share, her voice soft yet steady. "We recently met a lonely man, a beautiful soul who yearned for connection." As her words poured forth, the fire crackled and flickered, reflecting the sparks of divine inspiration slowly igniting within the group. People listened intently, nodding and even sharing their own stories of walking through shadows and emerging into light. It felt like a sacred weaving, a dance of souls creating a tapestry of faith and affirmation. Tears of joy glistened in eyes, laughter erupted from deep places of healing, and the atmosphere buzzed with the potential of God's grace flowing through them all. Suddenly, as if in answer to their collective vulnerability, a sudden gust of wind swept through the clearing, swirling leaves around them, carrying with it a sense of divine presence. Margaret paused, heart racing. She felt deep within that something miraculous was unfolding. "What was that?" she exclaimed, excitement and awe mingling in her voice. The woman turned, excitement sparkling in her eyes. "When the presence of the Spirit moves, we must pay attention. It is a sign of divine connection." Margaret's eyes shone with understanding. "It's God reminding us we are not alone. We are all part of a larger story." As the crowd murmured in agreement, a palpable reverence filled the air. Each step they took that evening whirled them into light, into purpose. Yet deep down, Margaret sensed beneath the surface a question lingering, much like the last spark of daylight. What grand revelation awaited them next? What divine plans lay hidden behind the veils of this earthly experience? As they settled into the night, the warmth of the fire radiated hope and unity. They realized they were standing on the edge of something profound, a threshold of sacred manifestation. What signs would show them the way to their destiny? The night held its breath, awaiting a divine unfolding. As dawn broke over Everwood, the gentle light of day poured through the chapel windows like a divine invitation. Margaret stood before her community, heart swelling with anticipation and love. The villagers had gathered once more, eyes glinting with fervor and faith, all drawn together by the promise that had transformed their lives over the past weeks. Today, we step closer to the miracle we all sought, Margaret declared, her voice a vibrant flame igniting their spirits. Our hearts have been ignited by connection, fueled by love, and now it is time for us to act to be the embodiment of the miracles we have witnessed together. The air was thick with expectancy. Every villager nodded. Every heartbeat reverberated with a shared desire for transformation. They felt the momentum building, a powerful force lifting them toward divine possibilities. "Remember the lonely man we met last week?" she continued, her eyes sparkling as she recalled the connection that had blossomed under the stars. "Let us not stop there. Let us extend our hands to every heart in need around us. We hold within us the profound power of community." A warmth spread through the chapel, echoing their collective affirmation. It felt as if the walls themselves had ears, listening intently for the unfolding miracles. Margaret sensed the spirit hovering, urging them on. Agnes, her heart as wide as the dawn, stood beside Margaret, rallying the villagers with her seasoned wisdom. "What we create here is not just for ourselves. We're building a shelter of light, a beacon in this town. Our faith allows us to be vessels for divine grace." Her voice surged, wrapping around every soul like a gentle embrace. In unison, they began to craft a plan, little acts of love that would ripple outwards into the community. They jotted down notes, sketches of hope, ideas for outreach poured from their hearts like living water. "We'll visit the homes of those who feel forgotten," Margaret suggested. "We'll shower them in kindness, share meals, offer companionship. Each small gesture will carry the weight of our faith." Each plan resonated deeply, igniting a commitment among all present. Shouts of "Amen" filled the chapel, invigorating them with a divine assurance. The days that followed became a whirlwind of joy and connection. They organized community meals, where laughter resounded in every corner. On the streets, they learned the names of strangers, offering smiles and kind words, breaking down the walls of loneliness. Margaret noticed hearts transforming like morning fog dissipating under the sun. The village that once felt strained with worry began to pulsate with newfound life. They would share stories of redemption, weave the threads of their experiences, and love each other fiercely. One afternoon, as they handed out flowers to passers-by, Margaret spotted the young woman they had prayed for, her expression now illuminated with hope. "You'll never believe it," she said, her voice a symphony of joy. "I found a new job." Joy radiated through the group. Their actions were not just ripples, they were waves of divine providence washing over the community. In the hush of a still evening, as Margaret and Agnes settled back into the chapel, they reveled in the presence of warmth. "Do you see it?" Agnes whispered, her eyes shining with the interpretation of the sacred. "The treasures we thought we sought are already among us. Each act of love brings us closer to our divine purpose." Margaret nodded, overwhelmed by the sense that every transformed life deepened their collective testimony. They had become embodiments of nothing less than divine love itself. As their hands ignited in prayer, the room pulsed with a sacred chorus of gratitude. "Let us not forget what has brought us here," Margaret whispered reverently. "We chose to believe, to act, to trust in our unity." And there, encased in the sacred stillness, a light burst forth in the chapel, illuminating their souls. The Spirit danced among them, a confirmation of the divine orchestrating a breathtaking symphony. "Together, we are unstoppable," Margaret's voice echoed, and in that moment, every heart felt like a beating drum of faith, resonating with the truth of their shared journey. The very essence of love guided their paths, carving open new horizons. As they emerged from the chapel that evening, the stars sparkling in the night sky, the village was alive with possibilities. They walked the streets, holding hands, hearts aflame with hope. "Let us remember," Agnes uttered, her voice a gentle reminder, "the light we carry is not to be hidden. It is to shine and beckon others forward." And thus, with every step, they became catalysts of love, turning their own stories into testimonies of divine manifestation. The air was electric with anticipation, each face lit with promise. As they continued their journey, Margaret knew deep within that the power to transform lay within them. With God's grace enduring through every act of love, they were to embrace their sacred destiny. The world around them was just waiting to be touched. Now, beloved friends, if this story touched your heart just like it did ours, you need to subscribe immediately so you won't miss the next exclusive faith stories. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Your gestures carry weight in this divine community. Comment your reactions and testimonies about the ending. Let your voice echo in this sacred space. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this manifestation unfold. Together, we are the light in the darkness. Don't wait even one more second to share your journey. Let us light the world, one heart at a time.